Give me a second. Welcome to Fraud Friday. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking loan fraud, bankers, public officials, and borrowers who got caught. What do we got, Delaney? We have a lot of stuff. Go right to it.
I know, it's hard to even know what to start with. So what I wrote Fraud Friday about, this is interesting. We had a couple homeowners associations and country clubs pay to settle PPP False Claims Act allegations. Now, what makes this so interesting is that there is one individual. He will be receiving $700,000 from these 4 particular settlements. But Wade Reiner had actually filed multiple lawsuits in different states. I believe there was one in Florida that named 40 different nonprofit organizations. There was one in Colorado that named over 24, I believe, which has since been withdrawn. And in all of these cases, they were 501c4, C7s, and they got a PPP loan. It was forgiven, so it's believed that they did use it correctly. They just were not technically eligible.
Well, therefore, they couldn't. They didn't do it. All right,
well,
I'll go
they
with
used
that,
the
Delaney.
funds the way
No, they used it for the right purposes. They just weren't ineligible for the money. But these home associations have paid all that back. But what is the kicker on this?
It's definitely Wade Reiner. You know, somebody somewhere referred to him as a serial whistleblower after all of this. And I don't know if this will become more of a norm, but I'm interested to see. I think they actually, the Colorado groups, threw the lawsuit back at him for making these claims without having insider information.
And he made $700,000 before legal fees. So.
Well, and the thing about this on PPP loans, you know, you would have great difficulty coming up with a list of the similar types of businesses who may have been ineligible for financing. But, you know, with PPP, it's all out there. There's several places where you can go and stick a name in and pull up a list, or you can put an NAICS code and pull up a list of people who got PPP loans. So I suspect this guy figured out that maybe one was not eligible and just trolled through
Lance,
the list.
If he figured it out, then how come the SBA and the Inspector General didn't figure it out, or the lender?
Yeah, that's a tough one. But part of it is eligibility was not crystal clear early on, and I'm gonna not throw the lender under the bus here, Bob and Delaney. You know, the problem, the lenders, you know, nonprofits were never eligible for an SBA loan historically. So this was a completely new arena of potential SBA borrowers. You know, I did a PPP loan for a church, Bob. It was so against my nature to be able to
but they were eligible. So I'll go along with that. I'll go along with that.
So, you know, the first PPP loan I got for a nonprofit was a church. It was $800,000, I think, and I'm just like, you know, I was nervous about it and a little anxious about it because I'd never done an SP.
You can work for a nonprofit, and nonprofits, guess what, Lance? They have to have positive cash flow as anybody else. So
absolutely,
we certainly understand why we had to do that. What else you got next for us, Delaney?
Next, there is a brief Chris Roglieri update. We have some updated numbers specifically regarding Prime Capital and Prime Capital Ventures. They believe that these clients ended up giving about $183 million in cash deposits. They think a little over $57 million was returned, but that's bringing this number up to $125 million that has possibly been misappropriated.
And he is sitting in jail as we speak.
He will continue to sit there.
He will for a while.
Now, Bob, I'm going to let you start off with this one. I'm throwing it back your way.
We can spend hours on this. We just got this information. backstory on this. Trisha Patel's husband, Nick, is currently sitting, by the way, in West Virginia in a federal correctional institute. And while he was in jail, he was sending emails to his wife on how to commit another fraud. And they committed a $7.5 million fraud with him sitting in jail. In fact, it was so egregious that he sent her an email, or she sent him an email and said, hey, guess what? The money's in. He goes, amazing. I got to go to count federal prisoners, all jails. They have to have a count, and then I'll contact you. So he's running this fraud from his jail cell. Lance, what I want you to look at, and part of what is our mission here? Our mission is to educate lenders on how not to get ripped off. And Lance, I look at this financial statement, and within 10 seconds, it screams loan fraud to me with a bunch of red flags. Did it take you 10 seconds to do that, or were you able to do it in 5 seconds? And tell me why.
Bob, when I got down to the checking and savings account at Wells Fargo, I was done.
Stopped right there.
Either we have one of the most liquid corporations I've ever seen. $10 million. Well, actually, $10 million in liquidity, $295,000 in accounts receivable, and only $55,000 in current liabilities. Guys, get your calculators out and calculate that current ratio. It's going to be huge. But it doesn't take long to look at this financial statement.
Current ratio. What about the debt to worth?
Oh, the debt to worth, absolutely. And, there's so many things about this balance sheet. You look at machinery and equipment. It looks like there was a lot of Section 179 write-offs in this company, but this balance sheet does scream fraud.
Yeah, I mean, within 5 seconds. Now, background with respect to Patel, what he did, he just faked the guarantee numbers. He went to the secondary market and said, hey, I have a USDA BNI loan number ABC, XYZ, and the secondary market purchased it from them. This time, he actually went and got an actual guarantee, or she did, from a loan from a company in Puerto Rico. The fraud is extensive. They took a real company who was selling out of Texas, took that financial information and used that to get the loan out of Puerto Rico. They then turned, and by the way, talking about cash flow, she did get $7.5 million in loan proceeds. When they finally arrested her 2 years later, Lance, they were able to find total amount of $74,000 in cash in her name, and also a nice BMW, which is now up on the auction block. But they bought, Delaney, you know more about this than I do. They bought a hospital in Iowa?
They did, and it has not developed or done well. I think we originally caught this because they were trying to sell that property, or I think the federal government got it since it had to be forfeited, along with all of the money she got, $74,000 from various accounts, BMW. There's no winning here. There's no takeaways. It's all gone.
I did a Google search on the property, and all the signs are stripped off, and then there's just a sign out in front that said, "We've moved." So the property is vacant. There's grass growing in the pavement, and they are. Lance, you're the liquidator. I don't think they're going to get $7.5 million for that property, but what do I know?
I seriously doubt it, but I have not seen the property appraisal, so I won't be able to.
Well, there was
speculate.
a property appraisal. Fraudulent.
Yeah.
Everything. They got a lender to get the guarantee, and they got the secondary market. Now, the secondary market, their job isn't to underwrite the loan and look at it. They're simply going to rely on the guarantee. So I'm going to give the secondary market a little bit of a pass on that. But the lender, and we think we know who the lender is. It's immaterial, but no, we're not going to name him Delaney until I.
It's actually, I will. Can I at least say it's a fake lender?
Oh, it isn't. No, she had a fake. She was the fake lender.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Then we'll name her. What was it? First Community or what?
Yes, it was. They created Community First. to
How in
pretend
the
they were
world-
loaning that money.
I thought USDA had this strong vetting process with lenders.
It's that's a tough one, Bob. I think they do, and I think it's much like SBA, but you're also not dealing with elementary fraudsters. You're dealing with PhD fraudsters here.
Well,
Bob.
yeah, but Lance, if Lance Sexton is going to make up a balance sheet, I think it's going to be a little bit more extensive than that one right there, Lance.
That's yes, that balance. That balance. First of all, Bob, I would like to be able to liquidate somebody who has really had this balance sheet. It'd be pretty easy. I would, but that balance sheet would immediately have kept me. Well, it would have caused me to ask a bunch of questions, Bob.
Well, yeah, you're not going to keep that in a checking account. You're going to have, first of all, it's going to be investments and.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just, it screams fraud. We're going to follow up more on this. She did plead guilty, $8.5 million fraud. She's facing pretty hefty sentence. And when is the hearing or when is the adjudication, Delaney?
She is scheduled for September. I believe September 22nd, maybe.
Yeah, but just what's amazing to me is when you read these facts. I'll just throw a couple of them out here. They received $7.5 million from the sale of the guaranteed portion of the loan. They sold it at the secondary market, who then sold it to other banks. Now, the banks are not out of money because of the guarantee. There is a legitimate guarantee, unlike the other fraud that Nick Patel had, where the guarantees were false. So in this case, it's the government who's on the hook. So there is a true victim, and the victim's us, Lance. The
absolutely, Bob. Absolutely. This is one where, it's just like if you had a large SBA loan that was completely fraudulent and an SBA had guaranteed it and the bank had underwrote it properly, the hook would be on SBA.
They changed her name to Maya Greer. I like the name. She's Senior Vice President of Community First Mortgage Trust. That was the name of the lender. This was her, they did a GoDaddy account. So they had it at Maya at communityfirstmortgagetrust.com, which is a minor red flag because usually lenders, they have first and last names. And they went to GoDaddy, and sure enough, it was traced back to her. You saw there was a phone number on that. But what they did is they also, the company in Texas, which, by the way, Lance, is PPP. This is before PPP came out. Some power precision. Anyway, that was unintentional because they did this before PPP went through.
Here, I've got it. It's precision powered products. You can't.
Thank you. I love
PPP
that.
Fraud.
I love it. But they had the guy's name, and his email was Robert Engelmeyer PPP@yahoo.com. I think whenever you're dealing with anybody with a Yahoo or Gmail address, that just and they're going to want to have an $8 million loan. Where's the website on that? And here's what I was talking about. Trisha Patel emailed Nikish Patel stating it's here. Finally, Nikish Patel responded, "Amazing news. I will call after count." Anyway, but these are all in the jail emails. And Delaney, remind us, how was this fraud uncovered? What did the guards find?
They went in his cell and found under his bed thousands of documents related to this loan and this fake lender. Not a good way to go down.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will move on. Oh, I like the color of the car. Go ahead.
We've talked about this one in the past, and she was sentenced to, not a short sentence, 7 years and 3 months. Miss Robertson was a former police officer and was also an assistant attorney in Atlanta. Of course, no longer an assistant attorney. And her and one other individual attempted to obtain $15 million in PPP money. She successfully got $7 million. And they, as you can see, did not use it correctly. There's a Rolls Royce, a 10-carat diamond ring, some transfers to family members, and some interesting parts about this is originally she had actually threatened to kill somebody, one of her friends involved in this, and then she also claimed her friend was an evil genius who roped her into this. That defense did not work out.
Did they revoke her bond as they did Chris Ruglier? I mean, what's the common theme here of killing people? That
Robertson,
that uncover your
remained
mistakes
on bonds, was immediately remanded into custody pending her sentencing.
Good. I'm glad to see you. And I think you have one more for us.
I do. This one, I'll keep it a little bit brief here. It is another prosecutor here, Miss Anderson, allegedly applied for a $20,000 PPP loan. She owned a clothing boutique, which you're not supposed to do, technically. And she claimed she had monthly payroll of $8,000, gross sales of about $142,000. And they're saying that she allegedly uses money on food, rent, entertainment, and other personal expenses.
This must have been a 2021 PPP loan again, but all she had to do is use some money on payroll. I mean, if she
didn't have it. She
did not have payroll. I can't imagine, guys, somebody willing to commit fraud for $20,000.
And a lot of people have done it, unfortunately, and good for the SBA and the Inspector General and for going after these people. They're recovering a lot of money. Thank you for. Go ahead, Lance.
I was just going to say the Inspector General, all of the SBA Inspector General, Treasury, all of the various law enforcement agencies are doing a wonderful job. And that kind of segues, Bob. We have a great webinar on fraud in SBA lending and what to do when you find fraud in SBA lending. And I'm very excited about this because I'm not only using information from the SOP, but I'm using several other sources in pulling this webinar together. So I would really encourage you, if you want to make sure your institution is following the rules in regards to fraud, to get signed up for this webinar.
It is in the SOP as part of your master agreement with SBA that says you will do certain things, and one of them is you are responsible for reporting fraud when you suspect it. And Lance will be going through and telling you what exactly you must do. And as we say, that this is not, maybe we should do it, maybe we shouldn't. You're being commanded to do it, and there's a lot of regulatory issues on this. This topic has not been addressed before, and that's why we're excited to bring it to you. Thank you for joining us today for Fraud Friday, so you can stop criminals from stealing from your bank.
Have a good weekend.
Have a nice weekend.